Hi, welcome to Cocktail Mode, the podcast where me, Andy, and my mate Dave talk about a retro game and try and pair it with a cocktail. Today, we are doing an FA Cup special episode, which I don't think we've mentioned in the entire episode, but that's why we are doing Football Manager in all its various 30 years of glory. And because I'm a bit of a lightweight on this and I've barely played them, Dave has got me a ringer in by his mate Jim. Say hello, Jim.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me.
So yeah, that's it. We're going to talk about Football Manager, starting so that we can claim to still be in our retro window with 97, 98. But yeah, we're going to talk about all of them and various other stuff in between.
I managed to find earlier on today, you can legally download, because it's been made available for free by the original publishers, Championship Manager 2001-2002,
Classic.
which is the year after I started playing it. My first one was 2000-2001. So this is almost exactly the game that I had as the first entry into the series. Yeah, I played a lot of the last year's 24. That was really, really good, actually. I got Florian Wirtz and Jamal Musiala from Germany before the World Cup happened. So before the rest of the world knew about them. So I got them fairly cheap and quite easy.
Do you know what's funny? I remember my first exposure to any football management game was my brother playing them and nearly ending his marriage.
There's a lot of stories about that.
But no, I remember him telling me as well about buying football players before they were well known. But you can only do it to a certain extent. If you go too far back, then the game doesn't know they're going to be good.
Yes, that's the problem.
So you've got that kind of thing as well, haven't you? I think
that's the position I find myself in with the old versions now. I go back to, say, 2001, and you sort of think, right, okay, well, who's young, who's not quite broken through yet, but I know is going to be amazing. And they're just not recognised as amazing talents yet.
Yeah.
They will be in several years.
Yeah.
But go back too far and they're just nothing, and nobodies.
Yeah, well, you can imagine for a lot of the smaller players on games like that, they don't even bother. They just probably randomise the stats from a list of names from little clubs. Probably pay Wrexham United 20 quid for a list of their players' names and then randomise the stat.
I was playing 2001 earlier, and I just thought, for no reason, I'll search for Carlos Tevez, because I'm playing as West Ham. I know he comes in about 3 or 4 years. 17 years old, completely unheard of, has no interest in coming to England. You prick.
One of my favourite bits about 97, 98 was when somebody retired, they would come back as a mixture of so Alan Shearer and Paul Gascoigne retired, and you'd get Alan Gascoigne, and he'd be a striker, but he'd had all of Gazza's stats, and he'd be incredible. I don't know if that carried on into the later ones, but I know that was always really funny.
Yeah, I've been playing 97, 98 exclusively in preparation for this, and I've been holding on to Jeff Thomas at Forest because he's 35 and about to retire, so I'll have a 19-year-old fucking tank in my defensive midfield position when he retires and comes back.
Yeah.
Well, Alan Brazil was still playing in 97, 98 because you could, whenever you typed in Brazil in the search bar, he was the first thing that came up. So I signed him for we had Bedford Athletic and Bedford Town, me and my brother set up, and I had him for a while at Bedford Town. Played in the Champions League for Bedford Town as well.
Jesus Christ.
There's nothing better than the old names you see in these games.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It's a real snapshot in time. I love it.
Yeah. The amount of people I'd just forgotten existed who I'd seen names of.
2001, which I was in the middle of playing. If you go to Man City, obviously it's before all the money. But they've got, what's his name? Haaland's dad, Alf Inge Haaland.
Alf Inge.
Yeah. Before that fucking prick Roy Keane destroyed his leg and his career.
I forget who it was. I was searching for players earlier, and I was looking for someone, and some of the old names that come out, some of that oldest I've seen so far. So we're looking at Warren Barton's in here. Craig Bellamy's at Norwich.
Wow.
There was a Swedish guy called Alex Andersson who played midfield and defence, left, right and centre. And I always used to buy him because he's just a great player to have on the bench because he played in any position.
Absolutely. That's awesome. I like
Utility player.
Yeah. Also, because I played with my brother and that, they made players and inserted them into the game. What was some of them called? Man looks like Rolf Harris and Pizza the Hut and things like that. Their stats would be 20 for everything. and they're all
Yeah.
that. So they would be incredible, and they'd just pop up every now and again. I think the hard drive is still at my mum's house in the attic.
Oh, wow.
We made both the Bedfords, gave them a bit of money, put them in the lower league, and worked our way up to a point where I won the Champions League with Bedford. He won the Premier League. He won like a treble. In the end, he had like Zidane. I had Figo, Rivaldo.
Wow.
Yeah, it was quite easy to get all those players and play them just play a diamond formation, and you could pretty much never lose.
Yeah.
Whereas the newer ones, they're constantly evolving, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're a lot more intelligent than they ever were.
Yeah, definitely.
There's a lot more going on under the counter that you'll never see.
Do you mean a lot less fun? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, a lot less random.
Yeah, it's too much for me. I haven't played a management game since I think LMA Manager on the PlayStation, which you'd have to assume was 98, 99-ish.
Remember playing that?
I've still physically got it.
Oh, cool. Are you sure it's not mine? Because I had it and don't have it.
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
It probably is mine. It's one of those games I know I had, because I think it's probably the only Football Manager game I owned, other than, we talked about it before, Dave, Daisy O'Leary Total Football 2000, or whatever the fuck it was on the Game Boy. Which also had that thing where the players came back as junior stars when they...
Regen is the word you're looking for.
Yeah. Oh, is that what it is?
It's been a part of football management games for a long, long time.
It's kind of cheating, though, isn't it?
No, not really. I mean, the game's got to simulate to some extent new players coming through, and I think that's a good way of doing it, because chances are you're going to get to a point in a player's career where you think, oh, he's getting a bit old, he's getting a bit slow. Do I really want to carry on paying him 20 grand a week or whatever it is? Or going back to 97, 98, £1,000 a week. Which makes me laugh. The values and the contract terms and things they've got back in 97, 98 are brilliant. I love them.
I remember when Forrest bought Jermaine Genius after that, probably turn of the century, he was the world's most expensive teenager, and he was £5 million we paid for it.
Mm.
Wow.
Absolutely crazy how it's all come on in such a short time.
In the most recent version, it'll cost you that to buy a physio from a good team.
Yeah.
We want to poach the groundskeeper from Leicester. How much is that going to cost us?
Nobody, unless you're a Forest fan, you won't know any of these players. Perhaps maybe Mark Crosley. It might stick in your
the
memory.
Goalkeeper.
Yeah, I remember Mark Crossley.
Oh, and Pierre Van Hooijdonk and Kevin Campbell.
Oh, yeah.
The players that got us promoted. Because this is the season before we went up. So I should have gone up to the Premier League first season if I was replicating history, but that never happened. I've currently got 4 players out injured. One of them's my backup goalie. So
That's right. You never need to bring them in. Goalkeepers can't get injured in games.
well, I've got one injured.
No, but they can't get injured in a game. You'll get injured in training or outside of a game.
Oh yeah, but they get sent off.
Yeah, but chances are if you get any player sent off, you're going to lose.
You can put anyone in goal though, can't you? If they get sent off, you can just
You
chuck
can, yeah.
some random person.
Especially
in goal.
back in the early versions.
Yeah.
In 2 seasons, Crosley's been sent off 3 times.
Really?
Yeah. And one time was 6 minutes gone in the match. And against Norwich, they beat me 6-0.
Oh, fuck.
The board were not happy.
They never are.
Oh no, they're happy with me at the minute. We're making a profit, which is fucking unheard of, and we're 11th. So, you know, they're fairly happy right now.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, when we were 5th, because I don't spend money. I always look for, like, bargains. It's part of how I've always played these games, is I look for a bargain. I just put a bid in for somebody for 37k, who looks brilliant. It's like...
The free transfers were always really good.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's 97, 98, you could probably get a young John Terry for 50 quid.
I signed Michael Owen once. I think it was like 25 million, something like that, and he was injured. I signed him in the summer, and he got injured, and he was out for the season.
Oh,
Yeah, that's Michael Owen, isn't it? That's Michael Owen in a nutshell.
quite accurate to real life then.
I've just found Robbie Keane.
Oh, yeah.
The Spurs... Is as a central striker. I always remember him playing on the left. He's not bad. Buying options. Can I buy him? He's not for sale at any price.
Put in an offer.
But you can't. 97, 98. They're not for sale. They're not for sale. That's the end of it.
Yeah.
That's the end. That's done.
Take over Spurs as a manager, sell all the players. That's what me and my brother used to do. Take over another team, let everyone go on a free, then resign, and then you could just go in and you'd pick up all their players. Like, with so many saves, were just ridiculous. The amount of cheating that was going on.
I always used to think you were quite good at this game, James, and now I know why. you'd always be like, oh yeah, I'm playing as Arsenal and we've just won the Champions League for the 5th time in a row. Okay, now I know why.
That's why, because everyone else in the league had been put out on a free.
Yeah, there was a thing in the old versions. I don't think it's there so much anymore. But if you don't select any of the like continental leagues, like Italy or Spain, those clubs realistically don't actually play any games. So they get to a point where they can't afford to keep their players, and their players will want to
Yeah, they
leave.
just play Champions League or whatever, don't they? If they're in them.
Yeah, they're not playing enough football, so they want to leave. It's really weird. I don't think it does it so much now. It's a bit more aware. But back then, you could guarantee that everybody from like Real Madrid would want to leave Real Madrid within a year or two.
Yeah.
I don't think it does it so much now as well. But I didn't play any friendlies once, and I got sacked. Just came up. I was clicking the space bar to go on to the next day, and it was like Spark sacks from Arsenal. I was like, why? And the board had lost faith because I didn't book any friendlies.
That's great. I love that.
And in 97, 98, that's not the option. You don't play friendlies. It's just closed season. Nothing happens. But Forest in this version of the game have got a player called Andrea Salenzi. I always remembered him as Selesny, so I guess I was just saying it wrong. This is how long ago 97, 98 was. First Italian to ever play in the Premier League.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, Paolo One-Chop. I forgot he
Oh,
existed.
classic.
Oh, he's a great player. Is he still at Derby?
He's available on a free transfer in this game.
Wow.
There you go. Snap him up. Snap him
Yeah.
up, and then you can snap him up and sell him, or you could use him in your backup.
He's only 23.
And he's on a free.
He's on a free, yeah. Buying that.
Yeah, definitely.
This this podcast's been worth it already. Paolo Maldini's in here.
Oh, he's a great
Buy
player.
him, buy him.
Let's have a look. Paolo Maldini. Oh, I'd have to pay £5 million for him.
You could go with him, Nesta, and Cannavaro if you could get them. They were a good 3 at the back.
Nesta and Cannavaro were always in my Pro Evo 90. What's my ISS Pro Evo 2 team? Always Nesta and Cannavaro in it. Nesta's 5.5 million.
What was your favourite goalkeeper from Championship Manager, James?
I always liked the Russian guy with the stupid name.
I'm just looking at it and I'm wondering if you can remember it.
Is it Raslan Nigmatulin? Is that his name?
It is, yes.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
Well remembered.
Bought him solely on his name every time. And he was always a really good goalkeeper. And there was another Russian goalkeeper as well, who in real life never really made it. He played at the World Cup. I can't remember what his name is now. But it was always good because people would come to work and be like, oh, have you heard of Bruno and Gotti? And people like that. And I had heard of them because they'd been in my team for like 2 or 3 years in Championship Manager.
Yeah. But that's what Championship Manager has always been, hasn't it? It's been like a way to tell the future.
Yeah.
You play it for a couple of seasons.
Yeah.
Talent comes up and players start to develop and you get recommendations to buy people and you see results and sort of skill levels increase. And then a few years later at the World Cup, they're in the Italy squad for, they're playing their debut match. No one's ever heard of this young kid. I fucking have.
Here it is. Igor Akinfe. So in Football Manager 2006, he was 19, 20. And he would always, his price would go up really high and his stats were incredible.
Yeah, I remember him. I always used to buy him.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't want to turn this entire podcast into me scouting on my game of my current running. I've just bought I haven't bought. I've just put an offer of £3 million in for David Beckham.
Wow.
He's 23.
Or is he? Is he in the Man U reserves?
Well, I think no, he was playing, wasn't he? He was weirdly, didn't he? When he 21, when he scored that goal from the halfway line.
Yeah, I think that was his second season.
Because you can't win anything with kids, can you?
Yeah.
Recommend Robert Page as well for a defender. He was always quite good.
Off Led Zeppelin?
No.
That's Jimmy Page, isn't it?
Oh, I don't know. I don't do prog rock.
The best thing was you could get somebody and they'd just become really good. Like you could get some random guy like Tommy Jeffs or something like that. And you could play him at right back in a team of stars and he'd be brilliant and you could sell him for like 5 or 6 million after a few years. It just made random people really good for some reason.
Well, there's always, if you look in the game editor and look at the properties of all the players, they have a potential stat.
Yeah.
And it's like 0 to 200, I think it is. But anybody with a -1 can basically become anything. So
God.
the rest of their stats can just go to any extent.
Oh, wow.
And they're the ones that are seen as like the potential stars, because you just don't know what's going to happen if they're not, if they don't end up at the right club, if they're not trained properly or played properly, they won't develop and they won't become what they could be.
But again, this is the thing. I'm playing 97, 98. There is no training.
No.
There is none of this stuff. I kind of like it. I've played it a lot, and I think if it was, I could probably do with training. I think it's the only thing that I think would improve this game and not take it too far. It'd be good to see somebody and see they've got a weakness. Like fucking Van Hooijdonk could really do a sorting his finishing out, because he's getting on my tits now. And train him to death on his finishing, but that's not there. You just have to play them when they're on form and not play them when they're not, and hope for the best.
I would love for somebody to redo the database, but now, so it's 97, 98 Championship Manager, but with all the modern players in the teams. That would be incredible.
I would be amazed if it isn't. People do that with Sensible World of Soccer, and that was, well, the same time, wasn't it? That's 97, 98, isn't it, originally?
I think it's earlier than that. I think it's about 95.
Yeah. I would be amazed if they didn't do that. And I probably should have researched that for this in-depth podcast that we do.
Sensible World of Soccer is 94.
Wow.
Oh, fucking hell, really?
Yep, I was going to say, it's Mega Drive era.
There is a website called cm9798.co.uk. Shout out to the Championship Manager 97-98 podcast.
I do remember the old football manager thing of you have on a great run and you'll play like Yeovil Town and they'll beat you 4-0 just randomly, and there's just nothing you could do. No matter what you do, you'll just lose. Like the game wants you to lose. I can't remember. I don't remember ever going a full season without losing. Who's the most expensive player in the game at the moment?
Alan Shearer, 13.25 million.
Wow. How old was he then? Mid-20s?
He's scored 20 goals in 36 appearances.
In his prime.
28. So weirdly, and again, I think this probably says a lot about the game, a lot of these most expensive players are British. So the top 4 are Alan Shearer, Robbie Fowler, Ryan Giggs and Paul Scholes. And then Horst Siegel.
Horst Siegel?
Anyone ever heard of Horst Siegel? Horst Siegel was £10 million and he's playing at Aston Villa. Roy Keane's in here, so yeah, the first page starts at 13.25 and ends at 7.5. Got Dwight York on here, Mark Overmars, Nicky Butt, Henrik Larsson, Roy Keane, Michael Owen. But that's, I mean, the price of football is, it's just bonkers, isn't it? In 25 years, really, it's gone from the most expensive player in the world being 13 million quid to the most expensive player in the world being 200 million quid.
Yeah. But then the money going into it has gone up massively.
As you say, this is only like not even a decade after the formation of the Premier League. It's a long, in football terms, it's a long time ago.
I did play a bit of 97, 98. It's rough.
It's not rough, it's just basically a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see how far it moved in just a few years, because the one I've been playing tonight, 2001, 2002, is what you think of as not football manager, but Championship Manager. It's before they made the move to showing the matches in a half-assed 3D engine.
Yeah.
All the functionalities there. It's got training, you'll be happy to hear, Andy.
Yeah.
Considering this is free, like properly legally free to download, I would say this is the one to pick up, definitely. And if you go to the abandonware site that hosts the download, the message boards are hilarious.
Really?
Yep. People have logged in as old players like Glenn Hoddle, Gary Lineker, Stuart Pearce, and just left all these messages saying things like, I still play this every now and then with Peter Beardsley and Dave Seaman. Dave's a bit old and doesn't know how to work all the controls, so we have to help him out every time. It's fucking hilarious. I sat there reading it earlier as I was downloading it. I thought, this is brilliant. It's comedy gold.
That is amazing. That is brilliant.
Most expensive player in the world in 2001, 2002 is Marcelo Salas.
Do I remember him?
Juventus. Oh, he's from Chile, actually. £24.5 million.
So that's pretty much doubled.
In just 2-3 years, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy, isn't it?
Alessandro Del Piero, 22.5 million.
Wow.
In fact, they're all in Italy. Top 5.
I think that makes sense because around that era, Italy was widely regarded as like the best league in the world, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But it was shit to watch because they used to show it on Channel 4, but it was appalling football as entertainment. It was so fucking dull. I guess maybe that's, what's the word, got a bit of nationality bias because we expect football to be played in a certain way in this country, didn't we? And the Italians don't play it that way. They dive and they roll around, and well, to be fair, that's not just the Italians, that's most other countries, including us now. But at that time, that was very much seen as something that they did in other countries, and we didn't enjoy that very much. Right, I'm going to play a match while we're recording.
Here's a name to look up, Andy. Shevchenko.
Wow.
He's 25 in this version, so it'd be about 22.
Wow. This is the thing. He was also always in my Pro Evo team as well. He would, but in Pro Evo, I was at Pro Evo 2, which was around about this time, maybe even a little bit earlier. He was one of the 50-point players. 50 points was the most you had to play for a player in Pro Evo, and he was one of those. So I think he's already going to be pretty well known.
Yeah. I mean, 97, 98, he's still at Dynamo Kiev. So it might be before the big money transfer. I'll have a look in a sec. I just need to play this game. I need to find a striker to bring on. Let's bring on the first Italian to ever play in the Premier League. Tony Warner has currently got a gashed head. My striker is out with a gashed head. Not my striker, my goalie. Right, here we go. Oldham versus Nottingham Forest.
A match for the ages. I reckon Oldham win 3-0.
2-1 Oldham.
We are corner to Forest. Oh, tip round the post.
This is quality content, isn't it?
Well, I gotta say, it's like football on fucking teletext, isn't it? It's like literally just.
This is listening to somebody watching text and talking about it.
Goal for Nottingham Forest.
Yay.
Who scored?
Pratt, who is somebody called Pratt, who's one of these kids I bought. There's a penalty. No, it's been turned down.
Good. You didn't deserve it.
Slensy's handball, and it's half time. No, it's not half time because Oldham have just scored on 45 fucking.
Oh, bloody hell.
In.
Pricks. Gary Barlow scored.
Gary Barlow?
It's not Gary Barlow.
Oh.
It's Stuart Barlow. They're playing better than me, apparently.
Good.
You could fly through a season really quickly as well, can't you? Like you could in almost one night you could do a season.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you don't even have to be playing full attention. You can be doing something else.
The modern version of the game, the first night of playing it, you might get to your first competitive league game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's literally hours and hours and hours of meetings, then press conferences.
Yeah.
It's so slow compared to what it used to be. There is a lot of stuff you can automate now, to be fair. You can turn a lot of things off and get assistants to do all the shit for you. But even then, it's still just clicking through social media posts, clicking through agent offers.
Yeah,
it takes
annoying,
forever to play it now. So going back and playing these old versions has been lovely.
Yeah.
Because it strips away a lot of that shit.
I tell you what I played, because and again, this is something I mentioned in another episode of this. I think it's called FA Cup Football on the Spectrum.
Yes, I've got this on my Amstrad. I had this on my Amstrad.
You basically, early games in the FA Cup, so you get to choose your tactics at the beginning of the game, and you can change just your formation. It's the only thing you've got any influence over. Mm-hmm. And early on, you get to change it. You get to pick it at the beginning of the game, and I think you can change it at half time. And the only thing that changes as you get closer and closer to the final is how often you can try and change your formation to win. And that is it. That is the entire game. And you can't fast forward through the draw. You have to watch the entire. If you start in the first stages, you have to watch the balls roll across the screen and come up with numbers. There's no way of fast forward. You just literally have to sit
It's the
there and watch
Spectrum.
it.
Those balls do not roll across that screen.
Oh, they sort of do.
They half animate across that screen in all their one colour glory.
What I really like about it is that you can just pick like 8 teams to manage, and so at some point, if you do that, you're almost guaranteed to play yourself at some point. So you can decide who you want to win, or you can try and then have a shock go the other way. But that's basic. I think in the final, I think you get to change your formation 4 times. it's sort of halfway through the first half. So at the beginning, halfway through the first half, half time, halfway through the second half. But there is at no point do you get a different picture in the background of the final as well.
Has it got the trophy?
No, I think it's like a goal.
Oh, okay.
In a really shit isometric way.
What are the background pictures like on 97-98 Championship Manager?
Oh, it's Bobby Robson and I want to say Mick McCarthy, but I don't think it actually is Mick McCarthy.
Is it
looks
jumping
like
up for a header?
No, they're just holding the plate.
Oh, okay.
And that's it. And that's it. There is no other background image.
Yeah.
I think if you get into the European competitions, it changes.
Yeah.
But for like 98% of the game, it's that exact picture behind you the whole time. Two old white dudes. That's it.
In 2001, 2002, there's some of the pictures and some of the screens are like massive crowds at like Italian games and things like that. And then for most of the games that I've played, it's just like pictures of non-league Sunday football matches. It's just literally like a crowd of 8 people watching a game, or like a shitty rundown stadium viewed from an aerial view. There isn't even a game going on. It's just a picture of a stadium. And I kind of like that. I think that's really good. Doesn't really work if you're playing as one of the massive clubs, but if you're non-league, if you're non-league and trying to bring a team up, that's what you want to see. In fact, that's one of the things that the modern game does really well. It tries to recreate the visuals of a stadium without having actual pictures of a stadium or anything. If you take over a club that's like 10,000 fans, your stadium will be that kind of size when it actually plays in the in-game engine. And I do like that.
Cool. The my offer for Paolo Maldini at £5 million from AC Milan has been accepted. He's going to come and play in Division 1 in England, apparently.
Brilliant. So you're not even in the Premiership then?
No.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I thought 97-98 was the last year Forest were in the Premier League, but I think it was 98-99. I think we went up in 97-98 with Kevin Campbell and Van Hooijdonk scoring for fun, and then it was just a fucking nightmare next season. I think we came straight back down again.
So a world away from where they are at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
Incredible at the moment.
It's a wonderful time to be alive as a Forest fan, but it's very also, having looked at the table this morning, fucking scary, because we've gone from being like 7-8 points clear to being like 3 points away from dropping down to 8. It's really close.
They're still in the FA Cup though, aren't they?
They are, yeah. Honestly, I'm one of these people. Fuck it. Fuck it. I would have said put the kids out in the FA Cup and play for the Champions League in the Premiership. I think we don't have enough players to be playing on 2 fronts. I think that's the problem at the minute. We've lost 2 on the bounce, and I'm convinced that's why. £3 million offer for David Beckham has been accepted.
That'd be funny. I like that.
Oh, God, the board are going to be mad.
How much money have you got?
13 million.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I've operated for like a season and a half, either in profit or just a couple of grand here or there. Because I don't buy these big players. I find it more interesting to play the game looking for like the underdogs. Paolo Wanchop has agreed to discuss terms for Nottingham Forest. You boy, my board hates this podcast. Paolo Wanchop, what's £700 a week?
How much?
700 quid a week.
Fucking hell.
Well, I sold Ian Wone because he was on 1,200 quid a week.
Ian Wone,
my guy.
I always remember Ian Wone because in Sensible Soccer he's Owen Wine. Because they swap around I's and O's. And it became really weird.
Did you ever play Adidas? Was it Adidas Power Soccer?
I had that.
There was a couple on the early games on the PlayStation, wasn't there? Alan Shearer was like in the adverts for it. I can't remember if it was that one or it was something else.
I definitely played Adidas Power Soccer. I don't know if I had it.
Actua Soccer. That was the one that he was in the adverts for.
Oh, okay.
I had an Actua Soccer game. I'm not sure which one it was.
Because you could shoot from the halfway line.
Sensible Soccer, my favourite ever goal in Sensible Soccer was a halfway line lob.
Nice.
With a bit of swerve. So if you stood just outside the centre circle on the halfway line, running up the pitch, you hit the ball, put back on it, which lifts it up, and then put right-hand curve, and it sort of just sneaks in the top right-hand corner. It'd only work like 1 in 20 times.
Didn't we mention in the Surfer episode Olympic soccer where you could score goals? Dave once scored a goal from the halfway line that swerved in both directions.
Oh, nice.
Me.
Yeah. Jumping volley, if I remember right. You put like 2 directions of swerve on it really quickly and it bends and then bends again. It's
one of those like a Paolo Di Canio style jumping volley, isn't it?
Nice.
Just leaps up and boots it. You'll be very sad to hear that David Beckham has rejected a move to Nottingham Forest because he wants to stay at Man U.
Good on him.
My offer for $4.5 million for Babangida from Ajax Amsterdam has been accepted.
Nice.
Yeah, but you got to get him to sign.
Yeah, I know.
Did you ever play European Club Soccer on the Mega Drive?
No, I don't think it did.
Right. If you typed in 3 shredded wheat as the cheat code, you could shoot from anywhere and it was a guaranteed goal. So me and my brother,
really?
you could only shoot. So we're just shooting the whole time. That's all you could do was shoot. And the score would be like 10-12. It's such a great game.
That's got to be an English dev team.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of which, Sports Interactive, we've got to give a mention who are the people behind Championship Manager / Football Manager. The longest running continual company that's made a series of games that's not like a massive multinational, Nintendo style company. They have been honoured by the crown, which I don't think
That's
many
impressive.
people have managed, to be fair.
No, that's incredible.
That is. It's
Definitely.
worth a mention. There's also worth a mention is in the build-up to the sellout, effectively, to Sega. The deal to actually sell Sports Interactive to Sega was arranged during a curry. One of the guys from Sports Interactive happened to be out for a curry with the president of Sega Japan.
Oh, that's fantastic.
They made an offer on a napkin, which he said, no, you'll have to double that before we can even begin to do any sort of talks. They went away, came back, and the next piece of news is Sports Interactive have been bought by Sega Europe and Japan.
That's fantastic.
I love the idea that you can just go out for a curry with the head of Sega.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is this the first year that because they've cancelled this year, didn't they?
Yes.
So this is the first year since whenever that there hasn't been one released. I assume there's going to be a massive overhaul. I might have to buy it, actually.
Yeah, this is the first year it's ever not had an entry.
The most recent one I played was 24, I think.
Yeah, I played 24. 24's good.
You have to pay for the editor and stuff now as well. Like it's like £8.
I never bothered.
Yeah.
Because I can remember the original version I had, which is I found out earlier, is 2000, 2001. So almost in our concept of retro for this podcast. I think it was the first one that came with the editor. So the first few versions that came out didn't have it. I think it may have been a downloadable thing you could get separately. And I can remember ruining my experience of the game by fucking around with it so much. I remember once I did nothing else but made Bedford Town's home stadium Wembley. That's it. I did nothing else. Didn't do any other changes. That was the only change I made. And I basically, because you can take yourself out of the game, you can remove yourself as a player and then let the game run, and it will simulate however many years you want it to, like overnight. And I got up the next morning and Bedford Town had won everything for the last 10, 15 years. It took them 20 years to get to the kind of levels where they could buy everybody.
What were your early attendances at Wembley for Bedford Town, though?
2,000. Basically, every year they'd get promoted because the money coming in would be phenomenal. But a big part of the editor and how the editor works is the population of the city that your team is based in. So if your team is based in London, which obviously has a massive population, more people can come to your games. So if your stadium is big enough to fit them in, literally build it and they will come. If you're in Bedford, with a population of, 50,000, 1% of that population comes to see your games, you're not going to make much money. Yeah, there's some stupid things you can do to a club and just ruin it. So after that, I never messed around with the editor after that.
Funny that.
My last one, I made myself as Arsenal manager. My 3 kids are all young prospects. All their potential was at its max, so they were always really big. I've made my brother. I've made a few people. I took over Northampton and gave Northampton a sugar daddy unlimited funds, basically just completely ruined the league. Like I was winning every game. I like transferred some players in because you can in-game editor as well. You can get.
Oh wow, in game. That's weird.
Yeah, while the game's playing, you can like I'll just go to I don't know Mbappe and transfer Mbappe to Runcorn. Like you can just do free transfers and all that kind of stuff. Which it's so much fun. But obviously, it ruins the experience big time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a different game, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's quite fun. It shows just how hard the actual Football Manager is.
Yeah.
If you don't get your tactics right, especially in the new ones.
Well, it's not just tactics, is it? It's everything. Everything has to be right. You've got to have the right staff. You've got to have them arranged in the right way. You've got to have everything set up perfectly.
I don't see how that's fun.
It's not as fun.
Compared to the old ones, it's not. It's not. The old ones were so much better.
Well, yeah, and I think, obviously it's a massively successful franchise, so some people find it fun. But on a side note, I've got both good and bad news. And Paolo Maldini has rejected a move to Nottingham Forest. He wants to stay at AC Milan.
What about One Shot?
It's his loss.
Paolo One Shot has signed on a free transfer.
Where was he playing before? Was he at Derby?
Must be Derby.
No, I think it was. I'm not sure it said. I want to say Crewe though.
Has he not made the move to Derby at that point?
Maybe not.
What about Sean Goater? Is he around?
Oh, feed the goat. I think I've not seen his name. Let's have a look.
What about Ian Wright? Ian Wright must still be floating around.
Yeah, I bet he's going to be good, isn't he? That's the problem.
Yeah.
Sean Goater. He is Bristol City, Division 2, but he's 29.
Wow.
And his stats are pretty fucking average as well. He is 19 goals in 46 appearances. It's not terrible, but he want better than that.
Better than Andy Carroll.
He's playing in like second league France at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah.
It's like £400 a week or something like that.
I'm going to play another game. Forest versus Birmingham. 11th plays 9th.
Oh, 2-1 to Birmingham.
Fuck you both.
Mighty Birmingham.
Peter and Love. Do you remember Peter and Love?
Yeah, good.
Fucking hell. Goal for Birmingham.
Yay.
35 minutes.
I've got a list of wonderkids, 97, 98 wonderkids here. Michael Ballack,
Michael Ballack is a wonder kid.
Oh, shit in hell.
Simeone Inzaghi,
Oh, my God.
Alan Back Jensen, a Danish centre forward. His stats are incredible.
I feel like this is cheating.
No, because you kind of was find them to buy them.
Yeah.
Was this at the time, was this part of the game? We've talked before, Dave, about how in these modern games with things like Dark Souls, it's like the lore and all the backstory in that you can't find out in the game. You have to read on the internet.
Yeah.
It was playing football management games, was finding out about these players either like from mates or from magazines and that. Was that part of the fun of the
Yes,
games?
definitely.
Yeah,
As
definitely.
James said earlier, you don't find Ruslan Nigmatulin on your own.
No,
That's true.
Somebody will
Definitely not.
say, "Oh, I need a decent keeper," and somebody else will go, "Well, have you tried Ruslan Nigmatulin?" To which the appropriate response is always, "Who? What?"
Forrester pulled one back. Van Hooijdonk, 54 minutes. Honestly, you guys.
You don't pay us enough to support you in your fantasy football game that's 27 years old.
Is this before
just
everyone
terrible.
hated Van Hooijdonk or afterwards?
Yeah, he was just a piece of shit. He pretty much stuck his fucking tongue out and said, now we're in the Premier League, you need to pay me shit tons of money," was basically his whole thing.
To be fair, that's like asking for a raise in any other job.
Well, it is, but he was like, yeah, it wasn't that. So he didn't do it in a particularly good way.
Didn't he go on strike?
Yeah, pretty much. But
Yeah.
he kept on. And then Kevin Campbell was kind of embroiled in that. Got R.I.P. I should say, Kevin Campbell.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's
Died
recently.
fairly recently. Honestly, that year when we come up, I think they score 100 goals or something bonkers like that, or did we score 100 points? I think it would have been that, wouldn't it? Definitely that, or close to that. But they were incredible. They were absolutely brilliant. But yeah, it's a sad end to that era.
So 1-1 draw then?
I was just making some subs at half time. Crosley's been shit since he's come back from injury.
Probably still feeling it.
Yep, 1-1 again.
That's better than a loss.
It is, yeah. It looks like an unlucky loss because all my stats are better than theirs. So
I'll have to find it again and fire it up, I think.
Like I say, the 2001-2002 version works on modern systems very well.
Right.
97-98, not so much.
you have to run it through DOSBox. It works perfectly, but you've got it's just a bit more faff. So I think if 2000-2001 runs native, then that's definitely simpler.
So they just were so much fun. Remember coming home from work, going into the front room, turning it on, and then it would be like, because I would work nights, it would be like 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
My whole day off was just spent, I'd get through about 4 or 5 seasons. If you played 2-player, you'd have to look away while my brother was doing his transfer. And then you'd go on, and then you'd be like, oh, you've gone for the same players. And then the 2-player one was really good, but we had to give each other a time limit. Otherwise, you could just waste like an hour looking for one player.
Yeah, but that's always been part of the appeal, isn't it? Just the ability to search every player in that database. You've got a very specific requirement for a left winger with incredible passing, great crossing, but young enough to still have some sort of progression and not be particularly expensive. And all of those things are things you can filter by and refine your search by, and you get it down to those 2 players. One that you can't afford, and one that's like 17 and will cost like 50 quid, but might not get a work permit.
Yeah.
So then you start changing the filters and putting it down a little bit on this thing and getting rid of that thing and turn off interested only. And all of a sudden there's 1,000 players.
Oh yeah, I forgot about interested only. That was always heartbreaking.
There's nothing worse. If you go to the player search, put in no options, so it lists every single player in the game, sort it by value, and then click interested only. That's a depressing moment. If you're not Man U.
Us 97-98 players don't have interested only. We don't have that option. Even when you're winning. I say when I was my best position when I've been playing recently has been like 5th in the league. I was still like between games doing that search for another player and have a look for see what else we can find. Even when you're doing well, you just can't help it. It's just it's all part of that addictive loop.
Yeah.
Even when I was at work, I would be thinking about tactics in my head. Or thinking of some players. Like sometimes I'd write down some players and just think when I get home, I'll check these guys out and stuff like that. Or thinking about the games that I've got going on. Like it is seriously addictive.
Yeah.
That is the literal definition of game addiction. If you think about and plan and strategize the game you're playing when you're not playing it, when you're supposed to be working or socializing, whatever, that is the literal definition of game addiction. And I think Football Manager does that more than any other game.
Yeah,
Ooh,
definitely.
it's not.
I think you think about this more outside of playing it than you do anything else.
I mean, I'm being pedantic, but Tetris is clearly more mind-breaking than Football Manager. It's in the Tetris effect, mate. It exists as a thing, like a mental phenomenon where you close your eyes and try to go to sleep and you're playing Tetris in your mind.
We had that with Rock Band. When my wife was pregnant with our first child, we'd play Rock Band to the point where you get in bed and shut your eyes and you can see it all moving towards you still. And it's really hard to go to sleep.
That's a really fair shout, actually. Yeah, it is. That's another one that does it. There's so few games that just they literally seep into your subconscious. I think with Football Manager, it always remains quite conscious. And don't get me wrong, it is life ruining. I remember my brother says it came close to ruining his very young relationship with his now wife for fuck knows how long. But I remember going to my brother's house of an evening and not seeing him. So literally going into us and sort of seeing his wife and chatting and doing stuff and then going, and he was up in the spare room playing Football Manager for the entire time I was there.
Wow.
And the whole time going, I'll be down in a minute. Literally the whole time. Like Maddie would be going to the hall and going, Andy's here, yeah, down in a minute, and that was it. And then I'd leave and I wouldn't see him.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
Well, I would take my Surface into the car when I'd go and pick the kids up, because I normally leave 45 minutes before to get a good parking space, and I play Football Manager in the car while I'm waiting to pick them up.
I mean, what else are you going to do? Like, have a conversation with someone?
watch crap on YouTube or play Football Manager. To be fair, I was doing both.
Well, that's the thing.
It's when you buy a second device, so you can do both.
So you can play 2-player with yourself.
I'll tell you what I'm going to talk about because I found this really fascinating. I had a thought. I was playing this game and I suddenly thought that what other management games are there? Because I know there's Formula One management games. I've played some on my phone, but nothing very complicated. And again, I get bored when things get too complicated. So in the modern way of playing games, mobile phone management games are about the right level for me. And there are some good Formula One management games. Oh, shout out to my nephew who's just got an apprenticeship at Red Bull F1. Well done.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
yeah, really, really chuffed for James, my nephew. He's not listening. He doesn't give a fuck.
Oh, fuck him then.
He's been literally slogging it out at Palmer Motorsports for ages. He's a mechanic. I think he's going into electrical. I think he said at Red Bull. But
Yeah, that's really cool.
he's been working at Palmer Motorsports, which has got, from what he was saying, like the most ridiculous turnover because they treat everyone not very well. Shout out to Palmer Motorsports. And he's been slogging it away and not, sticking it out. And he went for an interview for an apprenticeship at Red Bull and got it. So yeah, well done, James, mate. You're not listening. I'm going to tell you, and you still won't listen.
What a prick.
Yeah. I mean, my nephew designed our logo, my other nephew, and he doesn't fucking listen either.
At least he's had some input.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, so yeah, anyway, as far as I'm aware, at this time when I thought I'm going to go and have a look, what other management style games exist other than Formula One and football? And in terms of hugely popular games, that's it. All the baseball is the next closest, and then after that, I mean, which it completely boggles my mind because American football, as we call it, is surely rife for this sort of thing because they play 6 minutes a game. Surely it's like absolutely perfect for a strategy game, and they do exist, they're out there, but the take up on them is absolutely tiny. I did a little straw poll on the tiny little Discord I'm a member of, and I asked the Americans what the sort of the popularity of the management games is, and nobody knew anybody who played them. And somebody went on Steam and looked up the most popular, I think it was NFL management sim, and there was 130 something reviews for it. Yeah. Which, if you know Steam reviews, that's nothing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a weirdly, I assume British, but probably European thing. This whole management sim side of it. It's not something that appears to have crossed the pond.
Is there not a rugby one? Rugby seems like it might be quite good for that kind of thing.
That's a good shout.
Well, there's been Sports Interactive as a spin-off of Football Manager have always made East Side Hockey Manager.
Oh, okay.
Really?
So it's basically Football Manager with an ice hockey skin over the top of it. There's been quite a few versions of that. And they also do a baseball, or used to do a baseball one, Out of the Park Baseball Manager.
Yes.
I remember playing because it was Football Manager, but baseball. So like, okay, yeah, I'll have a look. So dull. Because you don't know the players, you don't know the teams, you don't know any of the history. I mean, if you're a big baseball fan, it'd be fantastic. You'd sit there and you go, oh, yes, great, I can sign blah, blah, blah from whatever team and put together this amazing dream team that I've always wanted to see in action.
Yeah.
But to somebody outside of the sport and outside of the history, it's pointless. You just sort of look at it and you think, it's Football Manager without football. This isn't what I want.
You just remind me, weird fucking segue. Difford's Guide was mentioned on Pointless today.
Oh, really?
In the bonus round, they did some a cocktail-related questions. So they're sort of as listed on Difford's Guide. So there we go.
Excellent. Love it.
Shout out to Difford. Sorry, that was very, very weird segue. But yeah, I can see sort of my exposure to baseball has always been through weirdly like books. Something that has turned up in like fictional books.
I thought you were going to say movies.
No, but I think there is that as well. But it's very much sort of a fiction thing where people are obsessed with baseball. I read Paul Auster, who also died recently. Dark Episode. His books. It was sort of an obsession with baseball in those. And it's always sounded to me like the sort of passion that because people love cricket in this country, people love rugby in this country, but the genuine passion, the genuine, like, I couldn't dream of picking another team to manage other than Nottingham Forest when I started. It wouldn't cross my fucking mind.
Yeah.
That is it. I mean, that is absolutely it. And that sort of level of passion and dedication, that seems to correspond to baseball in America. And with an older audience as well. I'm surprised that baseball management sims aren't bigger and more popular and successful in America, because I think it should work. We've just basically spent how long we've been recording, best part of 2 hours, just going, oh fuck me, do you remember Paolo One Shot? and that's not, we can't do that with baseball. I remember like maybe Ramirez, so that's a baseball player. And that's it.
My main interactions with baseball is when I played the Yakuza games.
Yeah.
And Wii Sports.
Surely both of you, your main interaction with baseball is movies. Field of Dreams, Bull Durham, even Major League.
Yeah, I've never seen Major League, but yeah, Field of Dreams is brilliant. The Natural is a fantastic film, baseball film. But again, I think that's because it comes from a place of passion. I think this is what I mean. I think, to me, most other American sports, and again, it's a very outsider point of view and it's very narrow-minded, have become sort of hugely commercialized and become a product more than a sport. And baseball seems to have resisted that somehow. Because those games still go on for fucking ever. It is obviously, it's evolved from cricket, and at least it ain't go on for 5 days, but it's still several hours.
But it can. There is no limit. There is no time limit to a baseball game.
No, exactly.
They cannot have a tie.
Really?
They will play until someone wins. There's the world record for the longest ever baseball game, finished at something like 3:00 in the morning.
Wow.
It went on for hours and hours and hours.
God, that's nuts.
But you've got to hand it to the players and the whatever crowd's left. Like, we're not losing. We may not win yet, but we're not losing. We're not giving this up. We keep fucking going.
But yes, apparently the concept of management sims over in America, and I spend quite a lot of time sort of reading up on Japanese games, and they're big on baseball, and I've not seen anything in their area it just seems to be a weirdly European thing, the management sim. I wonder if it comes back to this whole, we've talked about this before, Dave, our ecosystem of gaming was born more of the PC than the console.
Yeah.
Which is not true of America and Japan. The games came out of PCs and Spectrums and Commodore 64s and Amstrads, and that's where you'd play a game like this, isn't it? You wouldn't see a game like this on a Nintendo NES.
You couldn't put this game on an early console.
No.
It couldn't happen.
No, it would be like FA Cup football in the Spectrum.
Yeah.
And in case that didn't come across when I was describing it earlier, utter shit, not any fun at all.
I remember that as being brilliant. Maybe the Amstrad version is far superior, like all other Amstrad Spectrum games.
It's in a much superior font, the whole thing.
No, it's a higher resolution font. It's 16 pixels per inch instead of 12. I know what you mean. There is a massive absence of management games outside of, I'd even go so far as to say England, let alone not just Europe. It seems to be a specifically British thing.
Yeah, I think it's always harder to tell because of the language barrier. I think football is huge on the continent, isn't it? It's as big as it is here. And their gaming came from the same place as ours. The ZX Spectrum was massive in Spain, for example, bizarrely, of all the countries. But I just think it's one of those things. I would not want to go on record to say these games aren't popular in Europe, because I just don't think with the language barrier it's particularly easy to find out or know, unless someone wants to Google it for me right now, because Google knows everything. No, me neither.
I'm going to see what other countries play Football Manager.
I bet Germany.
The analytics from the last month of Rate My Tactic, this was from a year ago. So the top of the list is United Kingdom, then America, Brazil, South Korea, Germany, Portugal, Turkey, Netherlands, Indonesia and Poland.
Wow.
That's where the most downloads for Tactics have come from.
South Korea is an interesting one.
I guess America, they have like an MLS version of it. because you can play. There's the American League, can't you? So
I mean, every league in every country in the fucking world is in the modern version of the game.
yeah,
I remember the version I started with had the Korean League for the first time. Never played it.
no, I've never played hardly any of them.
That's not a bad idea, actually. I think I might do that. Get one of the old versions and go back and play a foreign league that I know nothing about.
Yeah,
Because every decision you make is going to be based on things you've looked up rather than like actual real world knowledge, which may work out better.
yeah,
Because I think a big part of the problem that you have with these sort of games is you know for a fact that, I don't know, someone like Andy Carroll, to use as a quite good example, on paper, brilliant, excellent striker, tall, fast, good strength, everything. Real life, injury prone, bit of a mess.
yeah.
And like you said, ended up playing in France for 400 quid a week. But in the game, he looks amazing. He always
Yes,
has.
he does. His stats are always quite good.
Yeah. So he looks in the game like a really, really good player to go for. But you know that bias that you've taken from real life into the game, you probably won't buy him because you know he'll be injured half the season.
Yeah. Maybe he would be a good backup though. Like I know knowing what you know about him. Also, does the game generate ridiculous injuries for him all the time?
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? I think it does.
I guess because injury proneness is one of the things. Yeah, that's where a cheeky in-game editor put his injury proneness down to 0.
Oh shit, we did a bad pronunciation of a Russian name, didn't we? We didn't give a shout out to Sven, who loves that stuff. Hi Sven.
Ruslan Nigmatulin.
Jim, did you have a look at drinks for us, or did you just not bother as a guest host? You're allowed to say no.
I didn't look. No, I'm afraid.
What would you drink playing Championship Manager?
Beer, or a black coffee.
Yeah.
If I'm feeling dangerous, I'll have a black coffee.
So espresso martini or Guinness, or what lager were you drinking earlier? I saw you had.
It was Kingfisher actually.
Yeah.
A baby Guinness would go nice with some Football Manager, actually.
No, I think, there's a lot to be said. We did it for Tony Hawk's. Tony Hawk's is not a cocktail. Tony Hawk's is a can of Skull shotgun and a curb in Cotton End. And Football Manager, if you a can, bottle, whatever it was of Kingfisher, there's no argument against that. Of course it is. Yeah, that's exactly what Football Manager is.
Yeah, football. Yeah, people drink beer, don't they, when you're watching football? And back in the day when I was playing lots of it, it was either that or a bottle of Coke. And a bottle of Coke isn't really exciting, but Kingfisher.
You would imagine, because we haven't really mentioned sort of what makes these games tick, and basically they are so fucking addictive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's basically you really want to see what happens next. It's like, I've put that bid in, I want to see what happens. I lost that game, I want to see what the board thinks. I've scouted for those players, I want to see the result. It just keeps on ticking over, and that is what makes these games so good. Is they are so fucking addictive, and you do find yourself at 3 o'clock in the fucking morning watching. I played what I'm playing, 97, 98, for like an entire day at work. It's like, I got to the end of the day and I thought, shit, I have been so lucky that nobody has wanted anything from me, nobody has asked me anything. It's just been one of those days that I've done. And it just ticks over. It just keeps you tapping away at those buttons, and that's the thing. And I think, coffee, Red Bull, whatever it is, something to keep you awake.
I was going to say energy drinks that keep you going.
Yeah.
That keep you awake. My first experience of Championship Manager, which was 2000, 2001, I would start a game when I got in from work, and I'd basically play it until I could not keep my eyes open. Like literally it would just keep going and going and going and going, and it would not stop until I literally couldn't play it anymore, like physically.
Yeah, I do the same as well.
But that's the experience for so many people. I mean, there's documentary films made about the effect that this game has had on people's lives. There's a huge amount of divorces that have happened because of this, where people have just been sucked into it and just played it continuously for days, weeks, months, and it becomes everything you care about.
I always found that if you'd finish the season, you need to get through the summer, and then you want to get through the pre-season, and then you want to get your first games, your friendlies in, and then you want to and it just keeps going and going.
Yeah.
When we lived together, I spent so much time. We'd get home from work, and maybe me, you, and Marco would all go upstairs and play Football Manager. And then the next day, we'd be like telling each other how well we did. with no one hardly got any sleep.
But that's the thing, though. We'd all be playing separate games, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
We'd all be playing our own single-player games of the same fucking game.
We could have been playing together. All three of us could have been playing. That would have been really good as well.
I genuinely think we could set that up. I'm sure there's some way to network an old version.
Oh, without a doubt.
It should be quite easy to do, I thought.
I would be amazed if that didn't already exist.
Someone's out there's done it, definitely.
Sign it. It's just someone's done it. It's yeah, absolutely. So, about you, Dave, you spent half the episode Googling for cocktails. What did you come up with eventually?
Again, I don't think it's a cocktail. I think it's a caffeinated energy drink that gets you through the night to get to the end of it. But I did find a lovely pun.
Oh, we do love a lovely pun.
The ultimate story, and Football Manager, Championship Manager, whatever we're going to call it, is we talked about this when we covered XCOM or UFO.
Yes.
It's a story generator. You cannot find a person who plays Championship Manager who hasn't got a story to tell about a season where they picked up, I don't know, fucking Wycombe Wanderers and took them to the Premiership, or the person who bought David Beckham for £1 million before he was famous in 1997. Every single person who's ever played this game has got a story to tell, and usually they involve starting in a low division.
Yeah.
So I've gone for the Joy Division.
Nice.
You are going to love this.
Yeah?
This is a list of ingredients that is literally your list of ingredients.
Yeah?
If you took every drink you have ever done, this is what you would end up with.
Right.
It's served in a coupe glass.
Nice.
60 ml of gin.
Nice.
Specifically Hayman's London Dry Gin, if you're in Diffords. 30 millilitres of dry vermouth.
Nice. So that's a martini to start with. Yeah.
15 millilitres of triple sec.
Oh, very nice.
And 3 dashes of Lafay Parisian absinthe.
Hey.
Wow.
This is literally your greatest hits of ingredients for a cocktail. How have you not found this already?
I don't know. It's very close to a Corpse Reviver number 2 and very similar ingredients.
Yeah.
Which is, as everybody knows, the greatest cocktail that's ever been created. What did you say it was called again?
Joy Division.
The Joy Division. Any relationship to the band of the same name?
Doesn't seem to be any sort of notes on the invention. A few comments on it, but nothing amazing in terms of where it comes from or anything.
That sounds really nice.
Yeah.
Right up my Straza.
Someone recommended tequila instead of gin.
I mean, that would,
give that
which
a
would
go.
make it along the same lines as a Corpse Reviver number 4. But yeah, tequila does go well with those things as well, definitely.
Yeah.
Sounds nice. I take it shaken over ice poured into that coupe glass you mentioned earlier.
Blah, 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 blah. No.
No?
Select and pre-chill a glass. Prepare garnish of orange or lemon zest. Twist. Stir all ingredients of ice and fine strain into a chilled glass.
Ooh, interesting. He says, unconvincingly.
He says, I'm not going to do that.
No, I'm going to shake it.
Oh,
like
wait, no.
Here we
go. Recipe created in 2008 by Phil Ward at Death & Co., New York, USA.
I'm actually going to give that a look. I assume it's on Difford.
Yes, of course.
Because I have all those things. And also, it sounds delicious.
There's a list of other cocktails made by the guy who made it, one of which is called Another Sunken Boat.
Nice.
Which I really like. That's a good name.
Yeah, that is cool. I like that a lot. Do you remember when we were doing Metal Gear Solid?
Yep.
At some point when in that whole sense, you sent me a link on our friend Difford. Hello to you, Difford. We're still not sponsored by Difford to anyone listening, especially YouTube, who seem to fucking ban me every time I try to post an ad. But you sent me a link saying, have you seen this? And it was an article on Difford's about a cocktail bar in Milan called the Nottingham Forest.
Yes, yeah, I do remember that.
Yes. So this started my journey and for my cocktail tonight. Not back then, obviously, but when I started thinking, as you say, football isn't cocktails. It's just not.
No, it's not.
But because I'm dedicated to the cause, I was going to fucking find one anyway. So the Nottingham Forest is a weird history to the Nottingham Forest I'm not sure it is Milan.
It's definitely Italian.
It's definitely Italian, yeah. I'm not sure it's Milan, but it's definitely Italian. So out in Italy, there's this cocktail bar, and it was at one point listed in the 50 best bars in the world. And the guy and the family who've always run it, so they bought it with that name, and the people before it got the name from another bar in the Caribbean called the Nottingham Forest, where they best went on holiday and went to a bar called the Nottingham Forest and went, oh, that's a nice name. I don't know if maybe to like the Italian ear it sounds, because you know sometimes words just sound nice even though you don't understand them.
Yeah.
Like conquistador is a nice word, isn't it?
Souffle.
Yeah, right. Nice word. So maybe Nottingham Forest in Italian sounds particularly nice. I don't know. But yeah, so they've got no affiliation with Nottingham Forest. They never have. The original bar out in the Caribbean hasn't existed for a long, long time, and nobody can find any record of why it existed or how it got that name. But the guy, Dario Camini, who is the current sort of top man at the bar, he's so cool about it. He's like, we see people from the UK and from Nottingham like all the time come in here and want to drink just because of the name, and they're not snotty about it. You know, I mean, it's a high end bar, and it's decorated like a cheap bar, weirdly, but it is a high end bar. But they're not snotty about it. Everyone that comes in, he'll take pictures or make him a drink, and it just sounds really fucking awesome. I don't like to make promises about things I do before I die, because I could die tomorrow, but I would fucking love to get there before I die. And I know it's not original, it's not big, it's not clever. I would be the 7 millionth Nottingham Forest fan that's been to the Nottingham Forest. But he makes Dario Camini, the top man, makes a lot of drinks, and he's got 2 books of drinks out. And Dario Camini's Mix and Drink has got a Kindle edition on Amazon. Excuse me. And because it's got a Kindle edition on Amazon, you can download a sample for free. So in the first, whatever it is, 10, 15, 20 pages of this book is a cocktail called the Nottingham Martini. And it's basically a classic, the sort of the, what's the word, the most common version of a martini, when it's just 2 ingredients, gin and vermouth, is a 5-to-1 ratio. That's how it's kind of the standard. There's so many different variations of the martini, it's just absolutely insane. Even before you start getting into all the fucking nonsense, apple teenies, coffee teenies, whatever it is, just different ratios of vermouth to gin and or vodka. But the Nottingham Martini uses rum, which is bonkers. So basically, it's a 5-to-1 ratio of rum and dry vermouth, and that's it. Classic cocktail. And it's kind of unusual, because the 2 things, the vermouth and the rum, kind of, they just become one flavour, and it's neither of those things. It's neither vermouth or rum. I've made 2 today. I put a dash of syrup in my second one, and it was much nicer. And I don't like sweet cocktails, and I think maybe it's because I had cheap rum, because it's dark rum. And I didn't own any, so I brought a bottle, and it was quite cheap. I say it's quite cheap. It was, what's the main brand of rum?
Kraken?
No, that's standard rum.
Captain Morgan.
Captain Morgan's dark rum. So the first one was okay, but I said just a splash of syrup in there, because I think the better rums I've had have always come across sweeter. They bring out the sort of molasses flavours into things. And so that little shot of syrup just brought that through. So that's my tip for the top. But it's a really nice drink. It's a bit of a classic cocktail, so I've not got a lot to say about it. You basically make a martini, but instead of gin, you use rum. And that's a Nottingham Martini. God bless them, and God praise them. And it would be great to get either the FA Cup or the Champions League. And if we get to the end of the season without either of those things, it'll be heartbreaking. But for fuck's sake, we nearly got relegated last year. That's everyone out there. If you're a Forest fan, or if part of you as a neutral is like behind Forest this season,
if you love an underdog,
because it does happen. Just remember, we nearly got relegated last season. If someone said to me, what would you want this season? I would just not relegation. I'd like to be like 15th from day 1 to day 40. I really would. That'll be fine. That'll be absolutely great. Thanks very much. But it's been a magnificent season, and it may all go wrong. We may end up with absolutely nothing, but it's been a magnificent season nonetheless. And God bless Nuno, and thank you for showing what a shit show Tottenham Hotspur really are.
I found a cocktail.
Oh, good man. What you got?
It's called All Hail to the Arsenal. And it is gin, Campari, lime juice, triple sec, tonic water, and bitter cube cherry bark vanilla. Whatever that is. It's very red.
Yeah, that's the Campari in there doing that.
Excellent.
Say the name one more time so we can all look it up.
All hail to the Arsenal.
All hail to the Arsenal.
There's a site called kindredcocktails.com. It's on there.
Oh, yeah, we've mentioned them before, actually. They've come up, yeah.
Shout out to them, then.
Yeah, big shout out. Excellent stuff. I mean, Dave hasn't mentioned this episode. You haven't given your team a shout, Dave.
I've mentioned West Ham a couple of times.
Have you? I must be immune to it.
You were asleep. As most people usually are when I start talking about West Ham.
You've got a chance, Dave, to pick a game.
You know what? We haven't done anything like Rhythm Action yet. So I'm going to go for Parappa the Rapper.
Oh,
Wow,
nice. Yes, mate. Loving that work.
Got really, really good memories of Parappa the Rapper, and I hope it isn't ruined by replaying it.
Do you remember when I did that 24-hour charity gaming marathon?
Yes, I do. I got you through it.
You did, yeah. You're absolute fucking hero.
4 hours of speedrunners.
Speedrunners. The sequel is coming soon, by the way. They've just announced a sequel to the magnificent Speedrunners, not retro, absolutely fucking brilliant.
Yeah, I saw that.
But yes, I did a 24-hour gaming marathon for charity, and part of that I tried to play Parappa the Rapper 2. No, it wasn't Parappa the Rapper 2, it was Busted Groove 2. Already getting my rhythm action games confused, so let's save that confusion for next time out, because there are so many rhythm action games, and Parappa the Rapper, if it wasn't the first, it certainly felt like the first.
It's one of the first.
Yeah.
The second one was pretty shit, if I remember correctly, compared to the first
Yeah,
one.
well, weirdly enough, there's two sequels. There's Parappa the Rapper 2, and there's another game called Jamalami.
Jamalami. Yeah,
But yeah, anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves. This is all for next week. So basically, next week we're going to sort of talk about Parappa Rapper and probably get completely diverted by the likes of Space Channel 5 and Vib Ribbon next time out on Cocktail Mode, where gaming, like alcohol, is in our blood.